downtown where you can get a date for 50, 60, 70, even 80% off the original social marketplace price. Now available in paperback and e-readers. Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed, all-new Esteemed series adventure. Pick up your copy of Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. I was on Facebook the other day when I saw a meme that stated that after 30, women are dating to be wives and not girlfriends. And this is the type of misinformation that leads to many black women winding up becoming a part of the 70% demographic of black women who continue to remain single that I talk about in depth in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. Now, this whole concept of being an over 30 woman who's dating to look to be a wife is something that comes out of white feminism and basically is the black woman following the misinformation that she received from the white feminist, misinformation that will lead to her not being a wife or a girlfriend, but wind up being single for the rest of her life. Now, the big problem in the black community is that we have had generation after generation go out here and pass this misinformation down as related to this road to becoming a wife and not go out here and consult the Word of God, which gives you the foundation of how to be on the road to become a wife and not wind up stuck in the mire of being a girlfriend. Now, many black women, when they go out here with all of this misinformation fed to them by white feminism, Madison Avenue, and Hollywood, they go out here and wind up losing the best years of their lives, where they can go out here and possibly find a man with potential to become a husband by going out here and looking to go be a part of the dating scene as a girlfriend. Now, the whole girlfriend thing was basically a social construct created by Madison Avenue and Hollywood to be able to take advantage of the social construct of the teenager, but that was never really the case as related to things before about the 1940s, because that was when they created the social construct of the teenager and wanted to go out here and take advantage of the youth dollar, and get people to start consuming items as related to the whole process of dating, which they basically created to basically take people off the road of courtship. Because people who go out here and participate in dating really don't have a real goal, and that's what Madison Avenue and Hollywood wants to mislead women to go on this path of looking to be on this road without a goal, because when it comes down to courtship had a goal. When a man went to court a woman, he went to that girl's father, and he went to that girl's father looking to participate in courting that girl with the possibility of being considered for marriage. And if there was no consideration for marriage in about 6 months to about a year, that's when that relationship was over, because there was a goal of marriage. And if there's no goal of marriage, what happens is the relationship basically ends. But Madison Avenue, corporate America, and Hollywood didn't want women to be on that road of courtship. No, what they wanted women to be on was the road of dating, because the road of dating would be more profitable for corporate institutions, Madison Avenue advertisers selling people products, and Hollywood movie studios selling them movies, and keeping these women programmed to believe that they could go out here and hopefully find a guy over a period of time, because what the feminists wanted people to believe and what Madison Avenue, corporate American Hollywood wanted people to believe was that women had all the time in the world. However, women have a very finite window to find a husband, and once they go past 27, that whole window starts to close, because what happens to a lot of women is the pool of men that they were pursuing starts to dry up. And as it starts to dry up, basically there are no men in the pool for them to pursue once they hit about 27, 28, and by the time they're 30, there are no guys in the pool whatsoever, outside of basically guys who are on the road to becoming old Pookie, who's still living with his mother, old Ray Ray, who's got a whole bunch of baby mamas and working overtime shifts just to be able to make enough money to just basically pay for the child support, or Romy Rome, an old player who basically played out of the social marketplace and is now looking to get sexual access at whoever will go out here and take him up on an offer of a two-piece chicken dinner from the Arab red and white chicken place, or look to go get some shrimp fried rice and some chicken wings or some White Castle burgers after he picks them up in his old rusty Cutlass Supreme with the rusty quarter panels and a Teddy Pendergrass tape stuck in the 8-track slot. I mean, those are the prospects that are left for women who are over 30, because the men who were in the social marketplace, as they went out here and they got rejected by girls during their adolescence, they eventually started going to college, started to build themselves up, eventually started getting on the road to becoming established, and eventually what happened to those men is that they eventually started to get picked up, usually by women who saw them on the way to the job. A lot of women would be calculating and sitting there waiting for that moment to make that move on that dude as he was on his way to work. Or there were women at the job who went out here looking to go out here and scope a guy out who was working at the job and basically snap. And what happens is those guys get snapped up. And as those guys get snapped up, the pool starts to shrink. And a lot of these women basically have been indoctrinated into feminism, a lot of black women who get indoctrinated into feminism and the miseducation they've received from Madison Avenue advertisers and Hollywood movie studios, they're thinking that after 30 is the time to be dating to become a wife, when the actual time to be dating to become a wife is really when you're in your late teen years and your early 20s. That's when you need to be looking to date to be a wife. However, because many black women get caught up in white feminism, they are thinking they've got all the time in the world. And I talk about this in depth in my book, The Woman Crisis, and they wind up in a crisis because they look to start dating to become a wife at 30 years old. But by the time you're 30 years old, the entire pool of available men has basically, again, evaporated to the point where there's only old Pookie, old Ray Ray, and Romy Rome, and that's what's left in the pool. And instead of that woman finding a man to become a husband, she's basically starting on the early path to heading down bust downtown, watching her social marketplace value drop 50, 60, 70, even 80% off the original social marketplace price. And instead of her finding the best men to be involved with, she's stuck with the same type of guys that she basically was getting involved with during her teen years. And that's what leads to many black women being in a vicious cycle of a paradigm of failure, because they take the best years of their lives, their late teens and early 20s, and they're dating to be a girlfriend, dating to be a girlfriend, and looking to go out here and deal with, again, low character type guys like Pookie, Ray Ray, the neighborhood weed man, the neighborhood dope man, these low-level bottom shelf brads that they hope to have delusions of divestment about. And as they're out here with these type of low seed guys, low hanging fruit guys, who stimulate them as related to so-called excitement, they don't see that they're in for a road of misery, because these men are not men who are husband material, and as they have their fun with these kinds of guys, they wind up miserable later on when they realize that these males are basically stuck in a state of arrested development. As these males are basically stuck in a state of arrested development, these women become frustrated, because as they're looking to get a covert contract set up with these guys to be married, men they could marry, they see that these men basically aren't ready to be that type of man, not ready to be that type of man, because they never learned about their role in God's order. No, when it came down to these males, they're not ready to be leaders. They're not ready to be a head. They're not ready to be a steward. However, this woman in and of herself is not ready for her role in God's order. And that's really ironic, because this is the woman who said, as 80% says she's a Christian, goes to church, but sadly the pastor never teaches this woman about her role in God's order. And because she's never taught about her role in God's order to be a helpmeet, she basically winds up with her life being completely derailed again in her youth, because she's dating not to be a wife or courting to be a wife and valuing her time as related to her youth. No, she's taught to waste her best years by going out here being a girlfriend, and the whole thing is a girlfriend is not a wife. No, in God's order, a wife is an esteemed title, and women go out here and work towards becoming a wife in their early age. They prepare for the road to becoming a wife, and they set a standard for themselves where they only deal with men who are looking for a wife at an early age. That's what smart women who serve the Most High God do. They understand they're looking to help meet the needs of a man who's doing God's work on earth, and they're looking for that type of man when they are young and in their best years, and again are in their prime years as related to their physical health and their fertility. They are looking for that type of man. But because we have a lot of people out here who have been miseducated for the last 60 years, they're still looking to be a girlfriend. And again, a girlfriend is a man-made role. It's a man-made role that basically puts many black women on the road to being single for the rest of their lives, and puts them on a road to being single for the rest of their lives, because they're looking to be a girlfriend, and again waste the precious time of their late teen and early 20s years dealing with Pookies and Ray Rays who have no real direction, no set course for goals as related to their life, guys who are still living with their mamas, guys who have no real plan for getting any sort of job, guys who have no real direction for where they want to go, and guys who are living in a fantasy world as related to dealing with life, having aspirations for being an entertainer or a ball player, but making no efforts whatsoever. Again, these are the guys that they deal with in their best times of their life. And then when they become 30 years old, they want to go out here, and after dealing with Pookie and having him become their girlfriend, or them becoming eventually a baby mama, having kids with this Pookie, this Ray Ray, or a Romy Rome, then they want to go out here and look for a man that they can find to become a husband. But that's not how life works at all. No, as related to life all over the world, it works like this. Women in their youth go looking for a husband in their youth, and they go looking for a husband in their youth, because this is where they have their prime beauty, they have their prime fertility, and they're looking to become a wife. They're looking to work with a man towards helping him build things as related to building his family and teaching his children the gospel. That's what a woman is supposed to do. Unfortunately, many modern Western black women sadly are looking to become a wife when they get older, and that's become the big mistake that makes them lose all their time because they think they have all the time in the world. Unfortunately, they run out of time after they become 30 years old. They run out of time because there are no men available. That's what many of these writers like Terry McMillan don't really understand when she wrote the book Waiting to Exhale. She wrote the book Waiting to Exhale talking about how these women are looking for a good man, but when we looked at the movie, they were dealing with these low tier guys, again, looking at this low hanging, easy fruit, and looking at that low hanging fruit, and again, wondering why that fruit is rotten and spoiled because it's already fallen. And instead of them, again, looking to go out here and look for the quality guys who are, again, starting to actualize their potential in their late teens and 20s, you really want to go for the guys who are doing well in school, the guys who are going to college, the guys who are in the skilled trades. You want to go for those guys when they're young, and that's what smart girls do when they're in places like a college or they're out here seeing guys at the job. They go for those guys when they're young and they first come into a company. They go for those guys because those guys have potential as related to things, and some of them have good values and character at that point. They haven't been soured by bad relationships, and this is your opportunity to get in on the ground floor and be able to work with this kind of guy and again be a part of his upcoming program. But many black women don't want to be a part of a man's upcoming program because that means that they have to again submit to the leadership and authority of that man under God's order, and they will believe the ideas that the white feminist has told them because they've bought into white supremacy more than the Word of God. And as they've bought into white supremacy more than the Word of God, they basically believe that they, again, not only have all the time in the world, but they can always be strong and independent because they believe they don't need a man. But the whole thing is that God made you to be a helpmeet to that man and serve that man. But these women would rather go out here and submit to their God, the white supremacist, and look to get this perfect man that Madison Avenue in Hollywood have sold them that has six-pack abs, 6 feet tall, and drives and makes six figures. But this man does not exist because he is a social construct created by the devils in the entertainment industry to mislead black women and mislead black women to believing that they can be on the road to becoming a wife off being a girlfriend, when the actual road to becoming a wife starts in a woman's youth, and a woman courts men again, and to see who is a man who's going to offer a marriage proposal. That's what most smart women do. Again, they're courting that man, and if that man isn't serious about going out here and offering up a marriage proposal, then she basically ends the deal with that man within 6 months to a year, because it usually doesn't take that long for any woman or any man to know if they're right for each other or they're right for marriage. But many of these women, again, they're sitting there thinking, oh, I can, again, create these covert contracts to where they're being a girlfriend, going out here, dropping the skid mark jockey draws, and again, giving this man sexual access, allowing him to get the milk for free, and not make any sort of commitment to that woman whatsoever. No, he's basically getting everything he wants in a relationship for free, and you're not getting anything as related to a commitment from that man. That's what you get in a girlfriend situation, because when a man on earth makes you a wife, he's making a commitment to you. But this whole system, again, is meant so that these women can go out here and be consumers. But the whole thing is that their body gets consumed. And again, as they go out here and have sexual relations with multiple men, by the time they're 30 years old, they've had, in some cases, 80 to 100 men, sexual partners. And again, this makes it where their spirits become completely corrupted. And as their spirits become completely corrupted by the DNA and spirits of those other men inside of them. This makes it where a woman after 30 isn't fit to be a wife because she's got a spiritual connection to another man. And since she's got a spiritual connection to other men or multiple men inside of her, she can't pair bond with a man. So this whole meme that I'm seeing again is really misleading, talking about in dating, women are dating to be wives after 30, not girlfriends. And again, that's really, again, misinformation as I see it, because if you're not dating before you turn 30 to become a wife, really if you're not courting to become a wife before you turn 30, you're on the road to becoming single for the rest of your life. If you're out here not looking to court a man and not insisting that this man meet any standard for courtship where either after 6 months he's going to make a marriage proposal, then you're wasting your time, because this guy, again, he's going to go out here as he's, especially in his youth, all he's thinking about is getting you to drop them skid mark jockey draws, and again, looking to put the carbon rod in the atomic waste reactor and participate in nuclear fusion with as many females as he possibly can. That's what a guy is thinking about as related to him being indoctrinated into this white feminism, which again gives him a pass not to go out here and commit to a woman. No, but it gives him a pass to basically run these streets. And again, if you're after 30 and you're thinking you're gonna find a guy who's looking to be a wife, to propose to marriage, no, not gonna happen at all. No, what happens with these guys who are over 30 is, again, they have no interest in marriage at this point, especially if you've been out here with Pookie, the neighborhood dope boy, neighborhood weed man, neighborhood thug. Again, you have spiritual and emotional attachments to these kind of guys. These guys are a part of your life, and no regular clean-cut brother is going to want to deal with them dudes messing up anything he's trying to build, especially if you've got kids with them dudes, because usually these women after 30, they got kids by these other dudes. And if you're trying to go out here and establish yourself, you don't want to be dealing with nobody else's baby daddies. You don't want to be dealing with no baby mama drama, or even worse, becoming a baby daddy to this woman who's got kids by other men. That's what happens to the social marketplace after 30. Most of the women there wind up becoming, again, on a road to bust downtown, where their social marketplace value has dropped because they've gone out here and had multiple guys, again, they were girlfriends too, and as they became girlfriends, eventually some of them became baby mamas, and the ones who didn't become baby mamas have mental health issues from all of the spiritual conflict going on inside of them, from the thousands or 80 to 100 dudes who've basically, again, gone and got her to drop them draws and again get them draws. That's what they've got as related to that situation. So I look at this meme, which shows me this overweight black woman sitting here at the table talking about she's dating to become a wife, but the whole thing is the guy who she's dealing with ain't really thinking about her that seriously. No, he's just thinking the guys that they're dealing with, again, are low tier, thinking about smashing and dashing, because the quality guys basically are off the market. They're already married at this point. They've already got their own families before they turn to 30 years old. Usually, most men who are established, usually it's done by the time they're about 30 years old, and usually they've had their first or second child by the time they're 30 years old. So they ain't looking for no girlfriend. No, they got their wife at home, their wife who's had their children, and they're possibly, again, starting out to build their family up and starting to lay their foundation for how they're going to teach the gospel to their children. But sadly, we've had a generation of black women not get the word of God, and as they've been misled by the devils in the world, they're still looking to be a girlfriend, like Tracy Ellis Ross at 52 years old, still out here dating, looking for a boyfriend. Again, Women who understand their role in the Word of God ain't looking to be no girlfriend. No, they're looking to be a wife, and they want to be on the road to being a wife because they understand that wife means they've graduated to become a woman. And again, in my book, The Woman Crisis, I talk about how women graduate by becoming married. This is how a girl becomes a woman. But what happens to many black women is that they wind up on a road to arrested development where they're still trying to be 15, 16, 17, and even 18 years old, but never want to grow up to become a woman, because becoming a woman means taking on the responsibility of the role of being a helpmeet, and looking to serve a man. But they want to continue to be strong and independent and not need a man, and they think that at 30 they're going to become a wife. No, the only guy who's going to marry an over 30 woman who's had over 80 to 100 sexual partners is a simp who doesn't understand his role as a man. He's going to sit there and deal with somebody else's kids, somebody else's baggage, and a woman who these pookies couldn't marry because they weren't ready to be men. And he's going to think he's going to be a man and take care of another man's child. Again, that's what the simp will believe. But any man out here, again, is not dating to an over 30 woman looking to make her a wife. No, he will go out here and at 30 basically have himself on the road to getting himself together and looking for a woman who will help serve him in, again, teaching his values and the gospel to his children. That's what a man is looking for. But this misinformation, again, as I see it, and this is my opinion as related to this, what I believe to be misinformation, misleads women into thinking they have all the time in the world when their time is up. And their time is up, and they're headed not on a road to marriage, but on a road to bust downtown, where their social marketplace value precipitously drops. And again, instead of them finding those quote-unquote good men, what they're finding is old Pookie, old Ray Ray, old Romy Rome, and again, guys who are basically on the road to basically being, again, just a complete chore, no different than the Pookies that they got involved with in their youth, no different than those Pookies. That's what you're going to find in the social marketplace, are these kind of guys, because this is what you're gravitating to. Again, you have to change your perception of self, again, get rooted in the Word of God, start to learn and understand your role as a woman when you're young, because the time to be looking to be a wife is when you are, before you turn 30 years old. I say even in your early teen years, you need to start working on developing your roles as looking to be a helpmeet, learning how to, again, be someone who knows how to do things to support a man. Again, this is the way you start your road to marriage. This is where people start their road to marriage in other countries in the East and in the South and other places. But in the West, we have women who have become miseducated, and the blind lead the blind, and they lead the blind to fall in a ditch where 70% of black women continue to remain single because they, at over 30, start looking to become wives and don't understand that road to being a girlfriend put them on a road where they will not get married but will remain single for the rest of their lives. Now, if you want to break out of the paradigm of failure that has led to so many black women winding up being single, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, to be able to break out of this self-destructive pattern and head on a road to becoming a woman who may be possible of finding a husband. And you can find that book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find Why 70% of Black Women Are Single at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn why so many women were taken off the road to courtship and marriage and wound up on this road to becoming a girlfriend, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos taking memes like this to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this all-new Spinsterella story. Pre-order your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Way in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.